As the seasons change, so do the CDC guidelines we're finding, especially since we are nearing flu season while still in this pandemic. And this week, the organization added recommendations for celebrating holidays safely this fall. 3 News reporter Marissa Cummings breaks them down for us.
The CDC breaks down the best ways to celebrate this holiday season by ranking activities based on risk level. For Halloween, they say low-risk activities include things like carving a pumpkin with members of your household, decorating your home, and having a trick-or-treat scavenger hunt with your family at the house. The CDC ranks things like wrapping goodie bags for families to grab and go, having an outdoor costume party, or visiting a pumpkin patch as moderate risk. Activities that are high risk and they say should be avoided are things like door-to-door trick-or-treating, attending fall festivals, or going to crowded costume parties. When it comes to celebrating Dia de los Muertos, a popular holiday in South Texas, the CDC says low-risk ways to celebrate include preparing traditional meals and delivering them to loved ones with no contact, making an altar for the deceased, or having a virtual get-together. They say moderate-risk activities are things like small group outdoor celebrations, visiting graves of loved ones, and hosting a small outdoor dinner. And anything that involves large crowds is considered high risk. Thanksgiving is another holiday the CDC has recommendations for. Low-risk activities include things like watching the game or parade from home, having a small dinner with members of the household, and shopping online the day after. Attending small outdoor events for Thanksgiving is considered moderate risk per the CDC, and they say large gatherings and crowded places should be avoided.